Games you can never play again.
Halo Reach ends with a mission called Lone Wolf. Throughout the story,
Ooh,
you,
Halo
Noble
Reach.
6, and the rest of Noble Team try helplessly to stop the Covenant, a galaxy-wide alien force, from taking over your planet. The story is about bravery in the face of pure hopelessness, as every single time your team succeeds, it's made clear just how large your enemies are. And yet, Noble Team does everything they can, getting killed off one by one in the process. The final main mission of the story has you and Emil trying to get the last ship off the planet, the Pillar of Autumn, but once he gets killed off, you're forced to stay behind to man the guns.
Yeah, so Reach was supposed to be like a prelude to Halo 1, you know, as you see with the Pillar of Autumn taking off. And then, you know, Halo 1, that's the game where, you know, you exit the little chamber and you just are Master Chief. So, yeah.
As that ship leaves safely, there's an understanding that no one is coming back for you. Just 5 months before the release of Halo Reach, the servers for Halo 2 were set to be taken down for good by Microsoft. Despite the game being out for nearly 6 years at that point, the community for Halo 2 was still deeply dedicated and was not happy.
Halo 2 had the best ranking system that you could have in an FPS game, all right? I think there was like 100 levels or something like that. It was on OG Xbox Live, and then you kept on progressing. Like, let's say you were like rank 23 or whatever the little military symbols were. If you won like a couple matches, or I don't exactly remember how it worked. Matter of fact, I don't think I actually played ranked like back in the day. Because at this point, I was busy doing like LAN parties, like going over to my friend's house and playing Halo LAN. I don't think I ever did Halo like online. I can't imagine how good or bad it could have been way back in the day. But, you know, the ranking system was good.
Happy with the news.
There wasn't any skill-based matchmaking. There wasn't anything. There was like your public playlist, which was like completely random. And then you had your rank playlist where it literally just put you against another team that had similarly skilled players like based off of that rank, and that was it.
But on April 15th, 2010, the servers for the original Xbox console were going to be shut down for good. But it didn't kick them out immediately. Microsoft gave players the grace of being able to finish their final match. The ship had left, but for some reason, they weren't kicked offline. Lone Wolf is a mission with a single objective: survive. It's not possible. Surrounded by nothing but wasteland, all you can do is live as long as possible, as a seemingly infinite number of Covenant forces wipe every sign of life from the planet. Players have tried, desperately, to find some kind of secret ending if they just...
Is this like Halo 5? I stopped playing Halo after, I think, Reach, and that was it. And I think I made a good decision because all I heard was just the whole franchise was just going downhill at that point. So I have no idea this was a thing.
Lived long enough, some miracle to come for them. If they survive for an hour, or a day, or a week, or a month, but there is truly nothing left. All you can do is watch Noble 6 die at the hands of the enemy after sending the last ship that sets off the rest of the series. The nature of online games means that, one day...
Oh, wait, no, this is the end of Reach. Yeah, at the end of Reach, you're just told to survive or whatever.
All of them will die. Not only do they need a fan base to keep living, but equipment and servers to make sure they work in the first place. So for companies who are always looking towards the next
Titanfall.
Next console or big game, these old multiplayer games aren't a priority. No matter how popular a game is, its time is ticking from the moment it releases.
Yeah.
Once the Halo 2 players realized they weren't immediately booted from Xbox Live, some of them figured they would play the game a little longer. But then it kept going and going and going. Players on the Halo forums realized that so long as they didn't log in anywhere else, lose internet connection, or turn off their consoles, they could stay on the servers as long as they wanted.
That's actually hilarious. Like, the devs just shut the servers down or whatever, but everybody that doesn't log off is just like, yeah, I'm still here.
And so, while the ship had already left, the players still had one objective: survive as long as possible. As time has ticked forward, beyond the Halo 2 days, the ways multiplayer games can die out has evolved alongside gaming itself. While video games of the past were certainly updated and changed, it's common nowadays to have what amounts to an endlessly updating game.
Yep. Enter the live service game model.
Instead of releasing new products and new IPs or even just sequels, developers instead try to make a sort of super game, promising to always change and always entertain the player. But while all of these games like Fortnite and Apex Legends and Genshin Impact keep their name, really every update is a new game with different balances, items, mechanics, and modes.
Yeah, a new game.
One of my favorite things that Minecraft does is acknowledge this. While every update is Minecraft, their real name is 1.16 or 1.5 or beta 1.8. Everyone understands just how different the game becomes with each update, so every version of Minecraft remains playable for anyone at any given time. But then there comes the update sequels. Overwatch, Blizzard's first new IP after
here we go.
12 years, was a massive success. But after a few more years and some failed attempts to revive it, it boiled down to a smaller but dedicated community that was very, very unhappy with the game. Blizzard's solution was to dedicate itself to a sequel, Overwatch 2, which was really just a big update. But unlike
Control C, Control V. There's your next game.
Like sequels of the past, this one just straight up destroyed Overwatch 1. Whether it's because Blizzard was afraid of splitting the fanbase or just wanted to update the game with a name that generated some new buzz, at Overwatch
and money
2's release, the first game was no longer playable and likely never will be again. But Overwatch was not the first or worst example of a company doing this. The Culling was
Nope. Just recently, Counter-Strike just did the same thing.
It's one of the first Battle Royale games to ever release. Still being unique to this day, most of the Culling was focused on melee combat. Instead of getting access to crazy weapons and grappling hooks and superpowers, you had to struggle for even the weaker stuff. It turned the game into a suffocating and desperate experience, where even your wins felt like they were barely held together. Its generally short-range focus and mechanics like crafting systems turned the game into something you couldn't play anywhere else. After the release of PUBG though, the Culling lost the majority of its fanbase. As much as I and some more dedicated gamers liked the brutality of the Culling, the gunplay and big moments in PUBG made the Culling look like a slog in comparison, because it kinda was. And in the wake of the newer, more profitable and fun battle royales, the developers of the Culling decided to try and copy that formula. The Culling 2 released to less than critical acclaim. Peaking an inspirational 250 players 1 hour after the game released.
What? All-time peak, 249. 24-hour peak, 13. What is this game?
By day 2, there was absolutely nobody
Oh wow, Culling 2 on a parachute
playing the game. It was clearly just a rip-off of PUBG gameplay, and a particularly boring and bad one at that, managing to both fail to get new fans and
Bro, can you imagine playing with that many players? You're bound to see every single one of them again, every single time. Like, oh my god, that dude just killed me. There is no like rage quitting, you know? It's like you leave and come back, and you gotta wait until the match is over, until the next match starts, and again, it's the same people
alienating their old ones. 2 or 3 total games of the Culling 2 were ever played. And even worse, the developers shut down the servers for the first game, hoping for the sequel's viral success. The failure of the Culling 2 was so bad that nowadays, both games have been taken off of Steam entirely and can never be played again. The list of games killed off by companies who no longer want to support them is nearly endless, but the most interesting ones to me are the games that were executed in the prime of their life. At Gamescom 2014, Konami announced something odd. They were launching the world's first playable teaser, one for the next Silent Hill game. Simply called PT with a mysterious thumbnail depicting the woods, it was a game that seemingly had nothing to do with Silent Hill. It was a horror puzzle game that took place entirely within a single hallway, one that repeated endlessly as the player learned more and more about the people inside this house. The puzzles were so obscure that just getting to the end of the game was an internet-wide collaboration, and to this day, some things like the true solution to the final puzzle aren't known for sure to be right. But it
Dang.
isn't entirely because the puzzles are hard. On April 29th, 2015, the game vanished from the PS4 store without a trace. People who had the game in their libraries couldn't even re-download it, leaving whoever still had it on their systems as the last people with access to a game that was a viral success. Suddenly, this experience that anyone could download and repeat became a limited resource. PS4s with the game still on it became valuable, being sold off in the wake of all the sudden chaos coming out of a bad breakup between Konami and game designer Hideo Kojima. And it wasn't even the first time something like this happened. Just 1 year before, an app game called Flappy Bird was put on the iOS store and became one of the more famous video games of all time, despite its gameplay being downright simple. In what might be the actual complete opposite to PT, the goal of Flappy Bird was to just tap your phone and not hit the pipes. And yet this game was making nearly $50,000
Wait, can you really not play Flappy Bird anymore?
a day for the solo developer Dong Yuan. He felt so bad about how seemingly
Flappy Bird creator deleted game because it was too addictive. What? Did anybody kill themselves over Flappy Bird? I never heard that shit in the news. Because I remember people were like hurting themselves like health-wise over World of Warcraft or whatever back in the day. I never heard anything about Flappy Bird doing that.
addictive the game was that he removed it from every app store. And just like PT, phones with Flappy Bird were put up for auction.
Flappy Bird equipped iPhones. Oh, Flappy Bird equipped iPhones selling for $100K on eBay? What? There's still a way to play the hit mobile game, but it won't come cheap. What? This Cash for Gadget site is paying extra for phones with Flappy Bird. Oh my god.
Online immediately after.
Phones with Flappy Bird installed on them are selling for thousands of dollars. What a time to be alive. Jeez.
Selling the gripping, life-changing experience of avoiding pipes for as long as you can. Both of these games gave the world a viral craze and then took it away soon after. And in that wake, developers from all over the world tried to capitalize on it. To this day, you can find Flappy Bird ripoffs on the App Store and 1,000 horror games desperately trying to recreate what PT left in its absence. It was like the world was coping with the loss of these games, a feeling of loss that's very, very strong. We're used to video games being something we can always
Borderlands 2.
access, a place where we can relive our other lives in this other world, exploring a game to its full extent. Video games give us a place that we have control over, and that control is something comforting to people. But some games refuse to give that to you. One Chance is a Flash game. You play as a scientist working in a lab dedicated to curing cancer, and one day you come across the discovery of a lifetime. Called E48K15, your lab's cure is designed to eradicate any and all cancer cells in the body, but after it gets released, you discover something. It doesn't just eradicate cancer cells, it destroys every single cell of every living being. You're given 6 days. In that time, you can choose to go to work, spend time with your family, or do any number of other things. You don't know if a cure is possible or if it could be made in time, so every one of your decisions has the weight of the world to them. Depending on what you do, there's a number of different endings to the game. You can die with your family, spending your final days with the ones you love. You can work every single day and on the final one find the cure but see your wife die in front of you. You can flop around, be indecisive, and die in your lab. But at the end of it, if you try to start again, try to see what happened if you just did this or that, if there was some better endings.
Oh wow, is this game like you only get one playthrough and then that's it? Holy crap.
Some worst ending, some way to save everything. You can't. You get one chance.
Oh my god.
It's a brutally depressing experience where nothing you do can erase the mistake you made, and every option gives you a sliver of the life you had before. The world around you is dead, no matter whether you survive or not. Another game that plays around with this idea of permanence is one you might be more familiar with, Undertale. A common theme in
Oh,
Undertale is turning game mechanics into a very real part of the world, and when it comes to restarting and saving and quitting, it's no different. Imbued with the power of determination, your character is essentially the god of the underground, being able to explore every single option you feel like without consequences. Or almost without consequences. In the true pacifist run, we learn about Flowey, a flower injected with determination, the power to save and quit. After discovering these powers, he used it to save everyone, to become everyone's friends, but once he got bored, he started messing with people, trying new things over and over again until the only thing left was to kill everyone. As the player, we go through the exact same path, turning these people we cared deeply about and saw as friends into puppets for our entertainment, killing everything just to see what happens. And the game refuses to let you forget that you did this. After decimating the entire underground systematically and slowly, you meet a character you've never seen before, not in any other route through the game, Kara. Kara is the manifestation of power, of the rush you get from every level up, everything you steal, every person you kill. Kara is the thing that compels us to see what happens. And at the end of the genocide run, we're no longer in control of it. In their first and final speech, they tell us, "Now we have reached the absolute. There is nothing left for us here. Let us erase this pointless world and move on to the next. If you refuse, you get jump scared." But that's not all that happens. If you were to come back to the game and redo the true pacifist run, everything would be as normal up until the very last moments of the game, where, as you sleep in your bed,
oh.
Undertale makes it very clear. If you lose your empathy for the sake of entertainment, you are the villain. You are Flowey. You are Kara, and you will be for as long as you live.
Oh,
Your
dang.
game is corrupted forever, as you live with the sins that only you and Undertale will ever truly know. After
Dang,
the
that's
initial
pretty cool.
burn-off and 1 week into the mission, there were 14 left. 14 players keeping the original Xbox servers alive. Everyone understood that this couldn't last.
Oh, meanwhile, back in Halo 2. Oh my god. I wonder how long these guys just kept their shit on.
Forever, and even the final few were starting to die off. Be it losing internet, power, or hardware problems, just 3 weeks into the initial shutoff, there were only 2 people left. There were no Covenant forces stopping them, Microsoft was not trying to remove them, the only enemy these final players truly had, the only inescapable villain, was time.
Time.
Before Your Eyes is a video game all about time. The idea is simple. Every time you blink, you jump forward in the memories and life of Benjamin Brent. You can live through all of his memories for as long as you can keep your eyes open, but as time moves both in the game and in real life, that becomes harder and harder to do. And once that memory is gone, it's gone. Video games give us windows into another world, but while we can reset those worlds, we can't reset our minds. While Undertale...
True. I remember the first time you play any game, it will probably be like the best, most memorable time, and then every subsequent time is not going to feel the same.
Considers the genocide run as an act of heartlessness. In my opinion, it's more of an act of love. As someone who was desperately obsessed with Undertale as a kid, it became my mission to learn as much as I possibly could about the game. Every little tidbit of information, every medley, every trick in detail, every fun value in theory and unused room and sprite, and I learned all of it because I couldn't accept that I had already experienced Undertale. The internet experienced Undertale, you yourself probably have too, and none of us will get to relive that first experience. Why sequels and remakes in fanfiction are so popular is not just because we love these works, but that we're grieving the loss of that first feeling. Those final 14 Halo 2 players knew it was pointless. It didn't matter if they stayed on those servers for an hour, a day, a week, a month, or a year. Most people had already left, and all they could do was try to survive. It was a story of helplessness, and one that ended soon after it started. A bit more than 3 weeks later, on May 11th, 2010,
Oh,
Apache Enforcer, the final remaining player, was booted offline. There was a window of time, about 22 hours, where Apache was the only human being left on the servers. It's hard to
dang.
understand just how rare that is, for there not to be zero or millions online, but just one. One person left in servers that housed all types of people all over the world, playing all types of games and living all types of lives. Eventually, though, he went offline too, and Halo 2 had finally been wiped. The mission was impossible from the start. And for those efforts, there was no secret ending found. There was no Easter egg or discovery that made the effort all worthwhile. They were doomed from the start, and all of them knew it.
For three
But for some
weeks.
reason, the
Dang.
story still feels noble to me. After all, what's more human than being irrational? It's easy to forget that these portals to other worlds, video games, sometimes have a lifespan. Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
multiplayer or not, removed or not, or even standing, open and available forever, these experiences we have cannot be changed or forgotten. Time will always march forward, and as distant as those memories get, those foggy but unforgettable moments, they'll always be a part of you, for better or for worse. What those 14 players did, and everyone else that stuck on those servers accomplished, was not a mission of survival. It was a celebration of life. In the face of hopelessness, they didn't fight until the bitter end. They simply waved goodbye as the ship went off into the distance. Thank you, and have a nice day. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more of my stuff in the future, please
Dang.
subscribe to this channel. If you want to support me even further, I have a Patreon that pays out only when I release a video. For just $2 a video, you can get a direct line to me and other patrons, a role in my Discord server, any extra content I release including video commentaries, your name at the end of videos, and even a number of goals that I need to fulfill if they're met. If you want to support me, that is the best way to do it. And finally, shout out to my higher tier donors, Jerichode, Mendel, Tommy the Cat, Zimborg, and The One. That all being said, I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Dang. That was a really good video. Oh my god. Yeah. That's something to like take into consideration anytime you play like a new game. Like you're only ever gonna get that first playthrough experience once. So the only thing you can really do is just play it, enjoy it, and just appreciate it. And, that'll be it. You know? Oh man, that was good. What do other people say? Uh, things I've learned from the comments. Oh, Outer Outer Wilds covers much of the same topic. One Shot covers much the same topic. One Shot is the game that has the cat creature I see everywhere. I made a lot of people cry. True, yeah. Um, yeah. This was awesome. Oh man, look at K-Mac. Incredible video. Thank you, man. Yeah, definitely. Man, I'm trying to think of a game that did that to me. I think each time I played Mass Effect for the first playthrough, I got that feeling. Um, there's a lot of games actually that gave me that first playthrough feels. I remember back in the day when this is gonna sound stupid, but when the Matrix first came out, like the Matrix video game, I think it was on like PlayStation 2 or something, or maybe it was 3. Um, and you could like slow down time and stuff like that. That was awesome. I think. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else like off the top of my head. I'm sure like there's a bunch of other games. Skyrim, the first playthrough of Skyrim, the entire story or whatever. Um, yeah, definitely. Great video, man. Hell yeah. I want to see like more stuff like this. This is awesome. All right. Later, guys.